Say your name.
Clay Andrews.
And what's the name of the song?
Lord, take my hand.
Who wrote it?
I wrote it.
All right, go ahead.
Lord, take my hand and lead me on. A lot of time I can't go on. Lord, take my hand and lead me on. A lot of time I can't go on. Lord, take my hand, cause I really don't think I can cope with this. I done been on probation and parole, I'm sick of it. Violated on some charges, but the court was pending it. 8 years I had to flatten, but I wasn't messed up with it. Feeling for the word every day like I need a fix. It's the only way to discern the good and evil spirits. All fall short of your glory, but get right back up. I renew my mind quicker than I used to re-up. In control of my life, I know I could never be. You the driving little on me in the passenger seat, waiting for you to take me where it is I need to be, spiritually and physically. But I need you to take my hand and lead me on. Lot of time I can't go on. Why is it that I know right from wrong, but instead I still choose to walk in Lucifer's shoes and not the likeness of you? No, it's better to not know the way to know and turn from you. But I'm stuck like Chuck, it's like adhesives on my shoe. But you the wheel, in the middle of the wheel, I know his ways. You can get me out this day, turn the book to another page. This chapter in my life is number misery and pain. If I'm saying why ain't I changed, I think I'm mentally deranged. You got wonder working powers, so I know that you can hear me and make me a soldier for you on the battlefield. No, you got a spot for me if only I just endure. Like I had cancer, but you're the cure. Lord, take my hand and lead me on. A lot of time I can't go on. Lord, take my hand and lead me on. A lot of time I can't go on.
Small recovery, y'all.
TJ.
TJ, okay. What do you do?
I'm up.
Hello, Abby. Get your mic there. You're just muted there. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. That was a bit of a heavy intro, considering the context of the words. Had you not had those words up on screen, that would have been a different type of an emotional experience. But sorry, you're muted there, Abby. You want to get your mic?
My bad.
All good. So, I don't know if you
I had something playing in the background. I gotta fix that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was wondering if you had any background on that person at all, or.
Hold on, I have to. Something is playing, and I have to stop it.
Yeah.
I apologize.
In the meantime, I'm just looking at the chat, and I agree with people about how it's funny how unalive became a word. You know, how's it going, John H? Everyone else, Jacqueline, Volontaire, good to see you. Sebastian, Macy. But I find it kind of cheapens the death that happens. It seems like a video game word, kind of, or a Gen Z type of description of what's going on. So, yeah, censorship created new words. Yeah, and it's like a game that they play with us, right? They manipulate our language and our behavior, and we try and get back at them some way by changing our own behavior to our own benefit in some way. So but it is quite scary how often the word unalived is being used lately. So yeah, and I find it's a little ambiguous there, where as far as unalived, in that sentence, it doesn't distinguish whether or not he was suicided or homicided there. So, but we're avoiding those hot key terms because why? We're already being shadow banned and whatnot. So I feel like unless we're going to get our video outright banned for saying a word, and they're going to inform us what word we said, we might as well just use plain speech. So
I'm sorry, I have to figure this out. I'm just gonna,
that's okay.
I'm gonna play your song while I'm trying to. I mean, not your song. I'm gonna play your video while I try to find out what is this playing. Getting on my damn nerves. Oh, it's gone now.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that.
Hello, Rondo. What's up? And
Hi, Rondo. Peace, fam.
Antediluvian Atheist, welcome back.
So we have a lot to talk about, right? A lot to talk about. We're gonna start with this. We're gonna start with well, you have to tell me where you want to start in this hour and 18 minutes. So if you text that to me before I get to that, then while you're texting that to me, I'll show mine.
I can just tell you right now, I figured we might as well just start with the opening.
Okay.
Like straight at the beginning, let them introduce themselves and their topic a little bit, and then we could skip to 15 minutes.
Okay, so just let me know when you're ready to skip.
Sure, yeah.
But before I do that, thank you everyone for being here. We love you, so we love you and we appreciate you. Okay, here we go. You coming by Black Life?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Black Life is gonna
Quietly.
Black Life is gonna help us out here today. I'll tell you when you can come back, okay? Michael says thank you.
Welcome back. It's been a little.
And he says, welcome back, because it's been a while and people have been asking for you. I'll tell you what she's been busy with. It's very positive things. So, wait, hold on. Okay.
Hello and welcome back to Colonial Outcast, the anti-imperialist podcast that your uncle would call you a dirty leftist, terrorist, revolutionary without a cause, flag burning, no good rapscallion, or listening to. And he would really hate this episode, like really hate it, because it would make him feel very uncomfortable, then confused, then angry, because anger is always a secondary or dishonest emotion that covers up things we would rather not be feeling. Yes, today we are going to be talking about the new Trump administration and the driving force behind all of their policies. Its blitz of executive orders, the perverse need to control women's bodies, and their obsession with nativism, i.e. the policy of protecting the interests of, quote, native-born or established inhabitants, unquote, against those of immigrants. Now that American nativism is extending to South Africa as President Trump takes on the cause of Elon Musk, child of South African apartheid, who is upset that white Afrikaners are being dispossessed of their lands. I mean, they're really not at all, and threatens to cut funding to South Africa over an issue that really has nothing to do with us being America. Just kidding. Newsflash, Israel is involved and Trump wants to sanction or hurt BRICS in some way. South Africa being the S in BRICS. So the driving factor here, though, aside from unchecked capitalism and imperialism, is, well, we're going to be talking about whiteness. The idea of it, how it is mobilized to achieve political ends against minorities and the people of the global South, why it is also bad for the 99% of actual white people themselves, because they're.
May I just point out that we're not the minority? I mean, white people, we're not the minority in a global sense. So
white people
I hate that they call us minorities. It's a psychological thing, right? But anyway,
I think it's kind of funny for people when you get a global perspective to point out to people that whites are a minority compared to everyone else, but they're
Right.
only a majority in white land or whatever, West,
Exactly.
right? Winterland.
Okay. Exactly. Okay, here we go. And you could tell me when to stop. Just put your hand up or something.
Yeah, I think just a
Not
couple
in the club.
more seconds, and that's like
Okay.
his intro. But we can maybe just skip for the sake of time. That's a good enough moment to pause because that's basically
Okay.
he was just about saying like it's about what Trump is doing with South Africa is about like this whiteness and white supremacy and stuff, as far as people's denialism about Nazism and fascism coming from Trump and Musk. And so, but beyond that, it was kind of important to reiterate to poor white people and whatnot that for 99% of us, white supremacy is bad for us white people, right?
Which was what the Black Panthers were trying to say. But I just want to commend you on saying the word about and not a boot. Where you want me to go? 15 minutes?
Yeah, 15 minutes. That's good. Because that just shows the videos, Trump's statement, and then Ramaphosa's response kind of thing. Ramaphosa.
So about here, 1449. That should be good enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm having with people lately that I'm kind of like, huh. By the way, this weekend I plan on sitting down with some Trump supporters. I'm actually going to sit down with them and start asking them questions. I'm going to be
All
like,
right, well, look,
you
see if they'll be recorded. Do some journalist stuff. So, anyways, moving on. So you have been following I assume you've been following the South Africa Twitter drama, and for the audience, the common theme is it's really stupid. So, Elon Musk posted some stuff about I guess he's been doing this for a while. So on the 31st of July, 2023, Musk tweeted apropos of nothing, quote, "They are openly pushing for a genocide of white people in South Africa. Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, why do you say nothing?" And then flash forward 2 years, he's posting about Boer farmers essentially being displaced, and Trump, because Trump is backing whatever Elon Musk does, or President Elon Musk, or Vice President Elon Musk. Trump tweeted on Truth Social, he truthed on Truth Social, quote, "South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. It's a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want so much as mentioned. A massive human rights violation, at a minimum, is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of the situation has been completed!" Exclamation point. And here's him on the tarmac about to get onto Air Force One yesterday.
Truth Social, you said that you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
Okay.
Imagine making $453,000 in a single month as an affiliate marketer without
Imagine a world
relying on
without
Google, Facebook.
commercials interrupting you when you're trying to make a video. But yeah. Such is life under capitalism.
yeah. And here is Cyril Ramaphosa's response that I believe that most Americans would agree with.
Again, the president of South Africa, for those
President of
y'all who
South
aren't-
Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa.
As per usual, we're waiting for Mark's internet to freaking load. Wow, dude.
How do you see my dude? South Africa is our land. South Africa belongs to all the people who live here in South Africa. It does not belong to Donald Trump. He can keep his America. And Ede is even worse. He's even worse. When I meet him, I will tell him.
I'll say you, Donald Trump, you are even worse because your forebears came to America. They found the indigenous Americans. They wiped them out. They killed nearly all of them. Rene, we are living as a nation, and black and white, we are going to find solutions for our land question. So Donald Trump must leave us alone. He must leave us alone, Kauri. When we were facing apartheid, when we were facing oppression, he was not here. He did not fight side by side with us. And we were able, on our own, yes, with support of progressive forces in the world, to resolve the apartheid question. As far as I recall, Donald Trump was not around the negotiating table when we negotiated the end of apartheid. So stick around there in the White House. We will do our business here, and we will find solutions for our problem. So stay out of our issues, and we will not get involved in your issues in America. You have your own problems. Leave us alone.
So you have your
cut it there.
problems.
So, excuse me. You're muted again. Sorry.
That's not stream mode. I said, is he lying? And there's also a video of him, like these younger white South Africans that are like, you know, I worked, I saved up money, I bought a home. Are you trying to take my home too? And he was like, no. If you earned it, you can keep it.
Yeah.
We're talking about the ones who, like Elon Musk's grandparents, who left Canada, the Nazis who left Canada, because they wanted to be a part of the apartheid in South Africa. Like, they were salivating over it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, just since you mentioned Musk's dad, he's still there, and a little bit of, yeah. So just as far as, since we're on this topic here, let me just share, because I thought it was ironic, partly why I named the stream this way. Oh, I should have, yeah. Because Elon Musk's dad has arranged a telephone call for Musk behind the scenes to the South African leader there.
Email for Smash.
So, see that? Yeah. So Elon Trump phones home, right? In the midst of all this stirring up, trying to like kick, sounds like they're trying to inspire apartheid in South Africa again. And what the guy, Greg Stoker in that video, he's from Minpress News. Jacqueline, if you maybe that's where you've seen him before, but he mentioned 3 points that I think are exactly what's going on there. As far as what they're really trying to do is punish South Africa for the ICJ case that they brought against Israel, accusing them of genocide in Gaza, and for their de-dollarization moves with BRICS. And what's the third one there? You mentioned 3 points. I got a, of course, blank on it right here. But yeah, I can't remember it. But if you watch that video that we just shared with Greg Stoker, then he'll get into detail. They did a good job talking about this. I watched this last night, and I felt like this is a great video for people to watch in depth if they wanted to explore this topic fully. So yeah, that's his podcast is called Colonial Outcasts. I think he's like a war veteran too, ex-military. But anyway,
we really have a lot to talk about, but
I'll just show it now. We don't need.
Here it is.
Yeah,
that's the password. So I'm about to play another. Yes.
I remember what it was now. The third plank was decolonization, right? Because they're they're actually trying to repatriate the land for blacks. So they're trying to punish them for those 3 things. Yeah. Anyway.
Like they did Haiti. Anyway, this is the last one, and then we're going to get into Elon Musk very briefly, and then we're going to go into the other stuff. Does that sound fair? Capital. Black Life is trying to get in so she can help us.
Especially American westernized white.
I always
I don't
forget I have to
understand why Facebook sets up the video to be muted like that every time.
This is compliance, especially American westernized whiteness. The currency is compliance. And the reason that white women are so curious about you as a black woman in the South is because they are confronted with that fact, but they just don't know it. In their mind, when they see you, it triggers like this response of like non-compliance, like somebody's not complying. Like, what is she doing here? She's not supposed to be here. She's not complying with the order, and that threatens us. And I noticed this because I wasn't raised in the US, I was raised in Ukraine. We don't come face to face with racism a lot in Ukraine because there is no opportunity for it. It's pretty much like an all-white country, right? So that's not to say that racism wouldn't exist if given the opportunity. As soon as it is, it happens. As soon as it's given an opportunity, like in the beginning of the war, when people were pushing black people off of trains, like to get on, it'll very much crop up there if it's given the opportunity to. I'm not saying that it's not a problem in Ukraine or other countries like it. People are racist, they just don't know it until they're actually confronted with having to deal with people of color. What I will say is because of that, because we don't have that dynamic of like slavery and segregation and like all of these things, that's why there's this common like sentiment in America about Slavic women that they're just built different, right? They may appear very feminine and like feminized or whatever, but you know, their husband is scared of them. They know that they actually control the entire dynamic kind of thing, right? So you can only oppress women so much if there is no class below them, right? The only class that's below women in Ukraine are children. And we don't really have like a huge problem with homelessness or anything like that. There is not this multi-step hierarchy, right? There's only this power dynamic between men and women, but it's been balanced out pretty well, right? Like, yes, they're horrible Ukrainian men. I'm not denying that. Yes, some Ukrainian men are abusers and they use like religion and they use all sorts of things to abuse women. But on a large scale, what I grew up seeing was not skittish, abused women. I grew up seeing strong Slavic women because when there's nothing else to threaten women with other than like, oh, you're not going to get married or have a man or whatever, then you don't hold that much power as a man, especially in the courting stage, like in the dating stage. Like Slavic men are on their best behavior. And there's just as much stigma for divorce for men as there is for women. The dynamics are just a little different. They're a little bit more balanced out, I would say, between men and women. Now, where America differs is that because it's such a melting pot and like all of this, the hierarchy is just turned up to 11. I mean, white women are so obsessed with compliance and they're so obsessed with keeping their place in this hierarchy because there are levels that they don't want to be brought down to, right? One of those levels being you're going to be treated like a black woman. And that, I mean, you're going to be hypersexualized. You're going to be treated as a second-class citizen. You're going to be made up a bunch of narratives about, and you're going to be considered like unfeminine, unruly, and whatever, et cetera, et cetera. There's like so many layers to this, right? So the reason that they're curious or that they're threatened, and I mean, curious is a very gentle word you use. Like I would say that they are threatened. Threatened because they feel like you're taking over. In the video that this comment was left on, this is what I talked about, right? White women in the American patriarchy are especially dangerous to black women because they are okay with the structure of the patriarchy because they gave up a lot to belong to it. And by that, I mean, they gave up their personalities, right? This is why they have plastic smiles and no joy in their eyes, because it's all about compliance. It's not about having your own personality. It's not about having your own goals, hopes, dreams. It's about compliance. The same thing that I noticed about women in America too. As a Ukrainian woman, like I was not so used to women just like hiding their joy, their surprise, their anger, especially. Like white women really hide their anger because that belongs to men. And in this racially charged patriarchy, anger belongs to men, but also like black people are very demonized for their anger, especially black women, right? It's angry black women stereotype. So white women can't be that, right? If they want to keep their place in the hierarchy, which they have already worked really hard to get there and to keep, they don't want you coming along into their country club and being prettier than them, being wealthy on your own, like because they have to give all that up. They had to give all that up. And that's why they're threatened by you. And the reason that they hover around you is because that's the only compliant way for them to make you feel unwelcome. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Jordan Peele captured this really well in Get Out when he had the black people acting like white people, and it was so uncanny. That's because there is that difference, especially in the case of Georgina. Like, that's exactly what a white woman would look like in a black woman's body. It would be very uncanny. And the way that Georgina asserted her power was by always hovering around and being in people's business. And that's what white women do. Like, that's the most threatening that a white woman can get, is to just, you know, be there, just hovering and getting in your business. That's why there's the same like stereotype about, you know, youth pastors' wives and like pastors' wives in general, is that they just have this.
They have a whole like Facebook thing about like black women making videos of they're just minding their own business, and it's always some white woman hovering looking at them.
See, yeah,
It's hilarious.
A lot of people like to not really involve the conversation about the patriarchy in the fight against capitalism sort of thing, except for maybe the women are more keen to talk about it for reasons, right?
And of course, this is a generalization. So if this is not you, don't get offended, because why would you get offended if it's not you? People speak in generalizations. So if you get offended, it's probably your ass.
I mean, I find it curious that she's got an American accent. She says she's growing up in Ukraine. She must be like someone who worked at the American embassy or something. So it's who she is a little bit of a question. But then the point is that she's got a very unique viewpoint. And just because she's a single person doesn't mean that her unique position in life could give her a great amount of insight into certain things that a lot of us are not able to have. So,
and I would also point out, this is also a generalization, a lot of black men want to do white supremacy in blackface. So they dog black women because black women are very, like, they're not our grandmothers and our great grandmothers. They ain't putting up with that shit. Most of them. They are going to be vocal. They are going to stand their ground. They are going to advocate for themselves. So a lot of black men don't like that.
Yeah.
Not all of them. A lot of black men look at that and they're like, yeah, that's what I like. So it's all generally speaking, but I'm just going to let it finish and then we can go do something else.
This very disconcerting presence where with a smile on their face, they will look you dead in the eyes and say the most fucked up misogynistic shit so that they can continue propping up the patriarchy. Right? And it's just creepy. It's creepy how they act, because it's like, why are you saying all this with a smile on your face? Because of compliance. Because the compliance part of the white woman handbook says that you have to be pretty, smiling, quiet, not cause trouble, never get in the way of the men. And the most important thing you can do is to support the patriarchy and to make sure that the men have a clear path forward, because you're next in line. You're next in line. But it's like the men are never going to move out of your way, babe. They're never going to move out of your way. But white women still, like, they have this very particular relationship, especially white women in America. They have this very particular relationship to white men, to men in general, right? Which is why White Woman Whisperer got all this hate for pointing stuff out, and she got like demonetized, like her videos were getting reported. The white women were very vicious, but very quietly, you know, very quietly in that very compliant way. And yet when a black man went on his platform and used his platform to speak up for White Woman Whisperer and to call white women out, the white women in his comments were very nice. They were very like, yes, like, well said, you know, they were feeling very called out. They were not reporting his videos. It's this very interesting relationship that white women have with the patriarchy, because they feel like they're so close to the top that it makes sense for them to keep maintaining these kinds of statuses and behaviors. And I noticed this like right away about, you know, Western white women, is that they stifle themselves a lot. They control themselves a lot. Again, this was very well exemplified in Get Out, when the main white woman character, like, everything about her is just putting on an act so that what she can actually be is this very controlled, very meticulous, very collected psychopath. You know, like when she's just eating like a single Fruit Loop, drinking one single sip from the straw, like that's all intentional. Like the fact that she has all of these like keepsakes of the previous boyfriends that she has lured over into this whole scheme, because she is not actually what she pretends to be. She pretends to be a real person with real feelings and pretends to like fit into the male gaze, and she fakes sympathy and she fakes empathy, and she even can fake anger and all this stuff. But in reality, she's very self-controlled. She's very meticulous. She's very like determined. Like she has a goal. She has an end goal in mind, and she's already planning out her next venture. And I noticed this a lot. Like this was actually really shocking to me, because like in Ukraine, like if a bitch doesn't like you, she doesn't like you. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of pretending. Like everything is kind of out in the open. Like, in America, it's like these white women will be so nice to your face. They will pretend like they want the best for you. They will pretend like they have empathy and sympathy, and that they totally understand what you're going through, to turn around and literally stab you in the back. and exercise their power over you. When my parents came here to America, they very specifically wanted to attend like an English speaking church so they could learn English faster. And so we went to this very conservative, like little church, and it was just full of like the WASP demographic, and it was very creepy and uncanny trying to interact with these people like as a normal person. You never know what they're thinking. You never know what's behind their eyes. You never know what's behind their smiles. They'll like nod and agree as though they really hear you and like understand what you're saying, but really it's not that. They're just complying. They're just controlling themselves from saying what they really feel. And you could tell they didn't know what to do with us because we were like by all means white, but they still saw us as below them. They still saw us as immigrants, and they would talk to us, you know, really slow. Even though my parents would respond back in normal speed and everything like that, they just couldn't help but treat us like second-class citizens. It was very unsettling, very uncanny. No matter what, in America, you are going to take your spot, you take your place in the hierarchy. Even if you refuse, other people will do it for you. They will place you where you belong. And in my opinion, at the end of the day, this all stems from the fact that whiteness is actually like a lack of things. Whiteness is more about what you're not and less about what you are. This is why white people have no culture, because culture is a thing that...
Okay, I want to address that because that could sound offensive if somebody has white people have no culture. But white people have no culture, and let me tell you why. Because like people from Sweden have culture. People from Ireland have culture. People from countries that have like traditional culture rooted in their community, they have culture. But the culture of whiteness, that's not a culture. It's a well, if
That's
you want to
what
call it a culture, it's a culture of violence and imperialism. That's not culture.
That's
So
basically
that's kind of what she means.
that's what Greg Stoker was saying in the Colonial Outcast podcast, the clip we showed before this. In the other parts we didn't show, he basically says what you just said in not so different words, right? So that the culture of whiteness is not a thing, and that the culture of white people is their various ethnic backgrounds. There is all a culture to like Irish people or Finnish people, right? But we've spent like centuries butchering each other, and then all of a sudden, when capitalism is born, that's another thing, is that this woman is sanitized all of what she's saying from any kind of mentioning of capitalism whatsoever. So this is what the liberal feminists do, is they pretend like you can deal with the patriarchy without having a conversation about capitalism and how that's intertwined with the patriarchy. They're kind of inseparable. They were kind of born in the same cradle, you might say. So all of a sudden, they when capitalism was invented and imperialism kind of goes hand in hand with that, when the white people finally stopped fighting each other, they colonized like the New World and stuff, and they opened markets to India. They recognize there's a lot more black and brown people than the white capitalists, so they need to invent a reason to kind of bring some of the white people on their side, the poor white people, and give them a thing to rally against the masses of black and brown peoples that they want to go conquer. So they invent whiteness along with capitalism, and now we have that, right?
Right. That's what was done in America, right? Because the Irish people were considered less than, and then when they started seeing, you know, oh wait, these poor people are aligning together. Wait. But you're white. Would you rather be white? And you could come hang out with us, or you want to do this? And they chose, you know what? Never mind. I'll just go be white.
Yeah, because they weren't white. This is another thing you're saying in that video. Like it's like an expanding and a contracting term, which is an interesting way to put it, right? So whiteness expands when they need it to, right? To include the white people that they want at in the context, the historical context that they want them for, and then in certain times whiteness contracts. So you can see that with the Israelis, okay, when there's all these other, I think they're called the Mizrahi Jews, Jews that were already in the Middle East. They distinguish themselves as like the real, like the white Jews who came there, the colonizers were discriminatory towards them because they were not as white skinned as them, right? But then Jews themselves have not been necessarily considered white by the Europeans, right, until they needed them to be. So now you've got like, it's just weird how things evolve like that, right? So
I mean, when look at the history of that region, okay, there's no way some Jewish people from Poland, you have right to this land directly next to Egypt. Like, come on. Just stop gaslighting me. Right? Like it doesn't even make any sense. And the Egyptians now try to claim that they've always been. No, that didn't happen either. So you need to stop that too. Because Egypt was Kemet, black. Like, stop. Stop gaslighting us, please. It don't even have to be this way. We could all just live in communion if you just stop.
That's why it's kind of important for people to relabel things, like why it was important for the white supremacists to go slap white names on everything, or whatever. Western, like the Eurocentric terminology involved with for the British or whatever, a lot of their kings and queens names on everything, right? But they're erasing the culture of the name of the town that used to be there, or the lake, right? Like naming Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. They're trying to erase a culture when they do that, cultural identity.
And like renaming it the Middle East. That wasn't the Middle East. That was an extension of North Africa. Like, that was, what are you talking about? Like, that's a modern construct. But once you do it and you let so much time pass by, and then you go for the books and go for the history, and people don't know what's going on because they don't read, now it's a problem. And they internalize this and believe it within themselves. It's a big problem.
Well, even the nations of Africa, the borders were drawn by colonialists, and it's got all these problems up until today, right? It's a mess. So.
Mm-hmm. So we kind of started with this because I wanted to do like a small continuation of Elon Musk, because with the Nazi salute, because it just really pissed me the fuck off the way Jimmy Dore treated that whole situation. And I just wanted to show some things that would kind of negate. It's like, you can try to play me while I'm setting it up. I've kind of been watching a little bit, and he is I really do think he's audience captured. Now there are some good things Trump has done, but when you can't point out the bad, then I don't believe you anymore. So anyway, look at so this is that what's his name, Fuentes, that neo-Nazi dude. He is so excited about this shit. I just have 3 videos, and then we can move on. And they're small.
No problem.
And then the straight up, like, that was a serious Roman. It wasn't even like a subtle, like a wave, like one of these, like a Laura Ingraham. Remember when Laura Ingraham did that? Now it was a straight up like loving energy. that was like a straight up with intensity Roman salute. And then the straight up.
Okay. So don't believe your lying eyes. Just believe what I tell you.
That's like a self-professed Baptist, from what I remember. I don't really follow him because he's just so obnoxious. And
who?
I think
Nick Fuentes?
Fuentes is grabbing an attention grabber, right? He seems like if he's not a Fed, we're a complete moron.
Well, here's a German comedian, and let's see what he has to say. And then I'm gonna go to my boy Josh Johnson, and then I'll be done with it. I'm gonna leave it alone.
No.
Very bad. Don't agree with the message. But from a purely technical standpoint, it was the perfect Hitler salute. Yeah, it was. It was probably better than Adolf's. Like, it was. You know, sometimes when you listen to a song and the cover is better than the original, you know, that's how I kind of. If Hitler salute was an Olympic sport.
I just want to say, hi, Snarky. I saw you. I wanted to acknowledge you, but now that you have to go, I wanted to pause so I can acknowledge you properly. Thank you for chiming in, and drive safely, okay?
Yeah, thanks for seeing you in a little bit. So good to see you. Good to see you again.
Very good to see you. We always love Snarky. Okay, so I'm gonna play it again.
Oh, it was probably better than Adolf's. Like it was. You know, sometimes when you listen to a song and the cover is better than the original, you know, that's how I kind of. If Hitler salute was an Olympic sport, I would give them a 9.999 rating. This guy was doing, the angle was a perfect 18-degree angle, you know what I'm saying? It was fucking perfect. And then also the power. And do you see that? It was like pow, you know, so strong, it was so fast. You could cut the strudel with that. It was so powerful. I'm not gonna show you, dude. Also, your haircut is a little too close to the Führer. We cannot. You cannot make these strokes, dude. Very bad.
Yeah, see,
Okay, so all of these people are recognizing it. A German, a white supremacist, like everybody's recognizing it, but who?
There's always a place for comedy, right? But I just find like this kind of stuff is hard for me to laugh about, because it's like we shouldn't necessarily be laughing. I feel like we're kind of laughing ourselves to death a little bit collectively. And instead of dealing with the problem, we can often escape through laughter, right? And that's okay in many instances. But if you're in a real crisis, maybe you need to get sad or mad or somewhere, some both, right? Instead of finding a way to laugh it off. But there's so many people in so many different.
I mean, yeah, and also like the fact that you were speaking about it through comedy helps people laugh through the pain.
Yeah.
So I guess there's two sides of
There's just a lot going on at all times, right?
Yeah.
We live in a complex world. So.
Yes. So I totally love him. He's such a great storyteller. This is the longest one, but I promise it's worth it. It might be like 4 or 5 minutes.
I see Black Life saying, sad how Jimmy Dore just excused the bleep out of it. As far as talking about comedians, he gave up all this old material so that he could be a lapdog. I think your comedian career might be over, right? But anyway.
He still has a nice populace behind him. Yeah. As long as has his adult capture folks, he'll be fine, I'm sure.
But now he's a comedian for the fascist white folks. Right?
Not the slow clap. Okay, here we go.
This is how you know that a lot of people are truly out of their minds. This dude did a Nazi salute that we then debated if it was a Nazi salute for like every day after, including the day of. And I don't know if you should be allowed to talk if you can't believe your eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are people that were like, that was not a Nazi salute. He was throwing his heart out to the crowd. I'm like, well, he has a weird pitch. You know what I mean? I always throw my heart like this. And he did it twice to make sure you knew what it was, which is pretty wild. One thing that I like about Elon, which is not many things, is that he always manages to quickly make the people that take up for him look super stupid, like really dumb. Because so many people had so many different things. They came to his defense. It was several things at once. It was like, guys, no, that was not a Nazi salute, okay? It was a Roman salute. I'm like, all right, you ever split a hair before? Apparently you don't know what that looks like. No, it wasn't a Roman salute. He has Asperger's. I know a lot of people with Asperger's. I know a lot of people that are on the spectrum. I know a lot of people with, different types of autism on different parts of the spectrum. And when I've hung out with them and they've needed to point, or they want to show me affection, you know what they never did? Anything that looked like that. It's pretty crazy. It's like 100% fundamentally insane that people would then, I don't know. Maybe there's some law I don't know about where if you are a news publication and you say someone did a Nazi salute and they didn't actually do a Nazi salute, that they'll like sue you into oblivion and you just won't exist anymore. But I feel like when you see it, you can say it. And the fact that so many notable publications were like, he did a thing that appeared to be, none of us have ever got the leeway that Eli got that day. If there was a video of me stealing out of a store, the headline would not read, Josh Johnson is holding something that appears to not be his in the form of a Best Buy electronic. You see how that works? You see how when you see something, you can say exactly what it is and the world won't shatter? I do think genuinely that if people call out what they saw, they might feel the need to do something about it. So rather than do any of that, let's sidestep it and just be like, look, maybe it would, but I don't know. Who knows? These do. Like, in what world do you not know? You saw it. And you know how you know you saw it? Because Nazis saw it. And you know who was excited about it? Was Nazis. They were very excited. And if they think they saw it, then what are you doing now? If they're very sure of what it was, what do you look like being so unsure? No, it was a Roman salute. No, he has Asperger's. No, he's just awkward and he gets excited. I'm awkward. I got a lot of problems. And you know what I've never done? But truly, that's like that's the thing that I watch happen. And then so many people are like, guys, he's anything.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying what he's saying is just it seems like what I've been thinking about how to understand what's happening there is with the Nazi salute stuff is you're like with Jimmy Dore, like at this point, you're either gaslighting or you have psychosis. And usually I don't like black and white kind of thinking. It can be a fallacy, but there are situations where it's an either or at this point. So like with the border situation, right? Everyone thinks they understand what's going on with the immigrants, what needs to be done. I think it's important to understand that some people know that they're full of shit wherever they're pushing a line anyway. That's gaslighting. And other people are convinced by the gaslighting and they're in a false reality. They're in psychosis. So that's just my takeaway from that guy's comedy, right? The uncomedic or whatever takeaway from it.
Okay. Somebody just rang my doorbell, so I'm a little disheveled. So
okay.
I'm just gonna play some more. It might be my mom. We'll see. It's almost done though. Hi, antediluvian atheist. We don't think he's a Nazi because he held his arm at an angle. We thought he was a Nazi for years. This is just confirmation. Right, because I mean his history, his family history. Is that my mother?
Oh, it looks like your name. She went back on.
Which one, Susie? Okay, I'll text her. Sorry about that. So. Oh, wait.
I'm good. I'm really good.
Right, because we know the history of his grandparents. We know the history of his father. We know his behavior. So why would we not already think he is what he is? But anyway, I digress. I'm going to just play the end, and then we can move on.
But a Nazi. He's not a Nazi. He loves Jewish people. And then we pointed to tweets where people showed whole sick conspiracy theories against Jewish people and anti-Semitic rhetoric, and then he would comment under it, "That's true." But somehow he's not a Nazi. And then for everyone who was still like on the fence or still hardcore pro Elon, he's not a Nazi, y'all. He went ahead and did y'all a huge favor. He attended an AFD rally via satellite in Germany and told them, hey, you got to let go of the past, y'all. We can't keep feeling bad about stuff that happens. The AFD, by the way, which is the most Naziest of the Nazi, he's like, no, you got to be proud of your Germanness. These are all dog whistles, but you can hear it.
Oh. He also said, you don't have to dilute yourself for diversity. That's what he said. Like, who dilutes themselves for diversity? If you have cultural traditions and there are other cultural traditions that are in the vicinity of you, who said you have to stop doing your cultural traditions, right? That's a dog whistle for you don't need these N-words up in here. And these whatever all those these K word, all the things. These W words, all the slurs. You don't need them to come up in here.
But people want to try and treat their culture like it's static, but everything is in motion and evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people are afraid of, it's not dilution, right? It's like culture is kind of made together, right? Cultures interact with each other, and then there are some people who want to be like the conservative tendency is to keep our cultures away from mixing with theirs, right? It would make it impure, right? It's this eugenic kind of thing.
But you could still celebrate your culture and add like a mix of two cultures to make something even more interesting. But that doesn't mean your original culture has to die away. That's your job to keep it going. I mean, if you drop the ball on that, that's on you. What that got to do with us?
It's just if you get a little too like distant in the past that you're trying to like claim a culture like centuries gone by now, and you have some kind of distant link to it, you may be kind of neglecting your modern culture that you were born into, in a sense, which you're as much a part of all the recent people of all like along the way in your bloodlines, as opposed to like the people from 10,000 years ago or something. Like there is kind of an appreciation for both, right? Like you can have honor your ancestors, all of them, not just some of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky for some people.
Yeah. So can you put up the thing where we had no choice. Our history was intentionally omitted and stolen. Yeah, we had to create a new culture because we weren't allowed to celebrate our culture. So that's quite different from, you still have your culture, nobody's taking it away from you, and you still feel threatened? Like, what kind of
Well, I think this
is this?
This is some of, I think, what makes a lot of tension in Africa, where they have their old like tribal cultures, and then they have their modern identities that they've acquired from post-colonial and during the colonial period and stuff. And it's created a bit of an identity crisis, I think, for a lot of people. It's like, do we go back to our roots, right? Or do we forge forward with, but it's very, I didn't mean to get into that today, but I'm just.
I know. We're almost done. I wanted to make this point. Okay. He's not African-American. No, he isn't. Because they aren't from South Africa. They just went there for the sole purpose of colonization. He is a Boer, and I forget the president's name. Please forgive me. That struggle song, Kill the Boers. And they're like, oh, they're calling for our destruction. First of all, you actually physically kill people. But you want to make a song that is really just a struggle song about killing the boer, their mentality, their behavior in our land, you want to make that an act of violence when you actually did all the violence. It's the same as like the Black Panthers when or Black Lives Matter when they say fry 'em in a what is it? Fry 'em like bacon. Okay, and they're like, oh, they're calling to kill police. We're actually not killing police. We're saying that we want police to come to justice when they do us harm. So bacon means pig means police. So when they say fry them up like bacon, they're saying bring them to justice.
And do away with the cops that we have, right? Get rid of these aren't cops, these are pigs, right? If you want,
Sorry, it just came to me. It's like pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. That's the saying.
Yeah. But people are getting all up offended, whatever. White genocide. White genocide. You're completely neglecting the context for why the person would come up with a line like that, because there's already killing happening. It's like the people who deny that the Palestinians have been killed for 70 years, whatever, already at this point.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let this finish, and then I'm gonna let you take, because we have a lot. He should be done very soon.
I hear you, dog. Elon's also had a week. And this is how you know that a lot of people are truly out of their minds. This dude did a Nazi salute.
Oh wait.
That we then debated if it was
start over again.
Let's start over. Yeah, good. Let's start over. So I can let you. I have like stuff about independent media and tariffs, and there's so much going on in Israel. We might have to do more than one show.
Yeah. Let me just quickly.
This is getting out of hand.
As far as my tabs, I'm not sure. Well, I think maybe I'll just share this article about weed in South Africa. We can kind of pivot to the border crisis and the excuse about we're going to launch the tariffs over fentanyl, right? So just a little bit of a historical, like I guess, what's his name? Chris, if he's still here. He's talking about diplomatics. What's his name? Christopher Creer. So just practicing a little bit of this science of diplomas or ancient writings and documents or whatever. We could just kind of do a little bit of a historical deep dive on anti-drug policy set up in apartheid South Africa, if you don't mind.
Good. So I have stuff about tariffs too, so we could do that together.
I think it's nice to see the echoes of the past. You can see they're still translating into the present. There's like the way that things are not so different from the way that things were, and the reasons why things are still a problem today are because the problems then have not been faced properly, are given excuses. So here we go. Apartheid waged a war on drugs that still has unequal effects today. Cannabis is being commercialized into a multi-billion-dollar global industry, and South Africa wants a piece of the pie. In his 2022 State of the Nation address, President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke of developing a hemp and cannabis sector to boost the post-COVID economy. Poor rural communities in South Africa have long cultivated cannabis in illegal conditions of risk. They now face losing out to corporate interests and the wealthy. How did the stakes become so high? This person's recent historical study helps answer this question. This author of this article over here, Thembisa Whitejen. So University of Johannesburg. So her recent historical study helps answer this question. It reveals how an apartheid-era drug law incited a war on drugs that was in effect a war on cannabis. In 1971, a law was passed that subjected the cannabis plant and its products to the strictest possible controls. This set in motion a structurally racist policy that continued well into the post-apartheid era. In 1971, South Africa's apartheid government passed the Abuse of Dependence-Producing Substances and Rehabilitation Centers Act. Lawmakers boasted it was the toughest anti-drug law in the Western world. law's main target was white hippie youth. The law followed recommendations by a state-sponsored inquiry, the Grobler Commission. The commission focused only on white South Africans' misuse of synthetic and pharmaceutical drugs such as LSD, mandrax, and heroin. Though the commission did not in fact turn up evidence of an extensive drug abuse problem, it nevertheless recommended tough suppression. To the ruling National Party, the use of drugs by white people appeared to threaten Afrikaner religious culture and the future of a white South Africa. They hyped the drug problem as a form of terrorism that is more dangerous than the armed terrorism we are familiar with on our country's borders. This language of crisis enabled the apartheid lawmakers to borrow from the country's draconian anti-terrorism laws, such as the 1967 Terrorism Act, used to put down anti-apartheid activism. Like the anti-terrorism legislation, the 1971 Anti-Drug Act provided for harsh minimum prison sentences and detention without trial for purposes of interrogation. It also removed the court's discretion in sentencing for drug offenses. When it was debated in Parliament, the principle of toughness appealed across party lines, except for the lone voice of the Progressive Party MP, Helen Suzman. Suzman observed that although the Grobler Commission excluded research on substance use by the majority Black South Africans, the law would nonetheless apply to them. Similarly, she argued the commission had not investigated cannabis, a substance considered by many to be less socially harmful than legal alcohol or tobacco. Yet it was to be scheduled in the new law as a prohibited dangerous drug along with heroin and cocaine. So we could maybe just pause there. I think that kind of gets the point across, you know, if you wanted to comment a bit. Or if you're away from the keyboard there, I'll just keep reading.
She'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. So for centuries in Africa, including parts of South Africa, the cannabis plant had important indigenous cultural value and was cultivated for a variety of social and pharmacological uses. Cannabis was first criminalized in the country in 1922, but drug policing remained relatively weak for 3 decades. In the gap and with growing urban markets, commercial cannabis livelihoods emerged to combat growing rural poverty. In such conditions, as Suzman pointed out, punitive drug control created to combat white pill popping was clearly going to fall on Black South Africans for cannabis offenses. Suzman fought hard. She pointed out that a marijuana commission was underway in the U.S., documenting how the supposed dangers of cannabis were greatly exaggerated. She argued for a less criminalizing status for cannabis in South Africa. Her views were defeated, and apartheid's extraordinary drug legislation was easily passed. Cannabis was classified among those substances marked for strictest suppression, just like in the States. So the parallels here are kind of uncanny. This decision proved to be a watershed. The effects of the 1971 anti-drug law were immediately evident, falling disproportionately on Black South Africans. Cannabis accounted for well over 95% of drug-related arrests and convictions across all race groups. In a 1972 assessment by the Natal Provincial Supreme Court, in the case State v. Shangays and others, judges showed how prison terms of 2 to 10 years were being imposed even for the petty possession of a single cannabis joint. The rehabilitation centers, part of the 1971 law, applied only to white offenders since, as Suzman had pointed out, the segregationist state did not provide drug treatment programs for Black people, but even for convicted white users, sentences involving treatment applied in less than 1% of cases. Paradoxically, but unsurprisingly, illegal cannabis cultivation increased within the segregated spaces of apartheid. So the exact opposite of what they're intending to achieve, it like blows back in their face, of course. So any kind of more sign you need to know that what you're doing is wrong and you should stop doing it. But the racist people do whatever. Some people who take it all the way, they will not see the voice of reason, apparently, for whatever reason. So are you there, Abby, or you got any comments? Or
I am here. I had to use the bathroom so bad.
that's okay.
So I did miss most of it.
Most of the article.
I told Black Life if she had a comment to jump in, but being shy.
That's okay. I think it was good for me to read that. But they write these articles pretty long sometimes, so we have other things to cover too. So I just wanted to, because with the border thing, the reason why I called the title "Border Psychosis" is because the reality, like the legal fiction that they impose on people versus the reality on the ground is so often disregarded. So as far as trying to claim that you need to launch tariffs on Canada and Mexico for allowing fentanyl in from China, it's like a half-truth at best, because I also have an article from the CBC titled "Criminal Networks Are Shifting from Fentanyl Imports to Canadian-Made Product." It's from our state broadcasting corporation, and the people that they're getting their information from is the RCMP. Okay, so the police are telling you from Canada that the drug is being produced domestically. It's not coming from China. They want to go for their lie.
As if we aren't the biggest drug dealers. Like, come on now.
As much as there's a lot of maybe fentanyl actually coming from cartels in Mexico and from Canada, what has become clear is that people can home produce this anywhere in the world based on the precursors. That's where, if you want to get into the weeds on the fentanyl business, you can get into the conversation about how they can make a certain precursor illegal, and then all they have to do is tweak the recipe a little bit. They use the analogy of Mr. Potato Head, where the core, like piperidine ring or whatever chemistry language it is that makes up the drug, you just have to attach a couple other things to it to make it into fentanyl. But you can ban one of the things that you attach to this thing, but all they have to do is like find up another little different piece to attach to the potato head. Instead of putting on pink ears, they'll put on gold ears, or like mustache instead of glasses, right? And then you've got your slightly different fentanyl that is potentially more dangerous or potentially gets you more high, whatever. Like this, it's a never-ending chemistry game that they can play to keep this drugs being pumped on people. So the law has kind of been playing catch up. That's partly why it's such a deadly problem. And it's brought on to us by chemistry, not by nature, for those of you who are obsessed with big pharma, right?
For real. So you're going to pull up that other article, or do you want me to start on tariffs?
Yeah, you can start on the thing. I just think maybe I brought up the main points from it, and then we can just leave it. You know, if people, I could put it in the chat if people wanted to delve into it, as far as having receipts instead of just, you could just type in CBC fentanyl domestic production and it'll pop up on Google, right? Unless it's censored there. But
I mean, this does have a lot to do with tariffs, because the whole argument is that he's stopping fentanyl and all drugs coming from China and Mexico. So it does tie in. I had a sweet tooth, by the way, after I used the restroom.
Well, in that case, then, if you'd rather, I can share it, right? So it's
okay. Go ahead.
All right. So let me just get my reading stint out of the way.
Make it a little bigger.
All right. Yeah. I don't like doing this. That's a little too big, eh? So border seizures are down, the street price is down, and Canadian-made fentanyl has gone global. This is from August 6th, 2024, from Darren Major. From state media, we're going to talk about independent media or whatever. Rachel Maddow has this thing about Trump's going to take away independent corporate media or whatever and make everything into state well, here's from the state broadcaster from Canada. So organized crime groups have shifted their efforts away from importing the deadly synthetic opioid fentanyl and are now producing it primarily on Canadian soil. A briefing note prepared for the Deputy Minister of Health Canada, obtained by CBC News through an access to information request, lays out the changes law enforcement agencies have observed in the illegal market for the drug. Superlab interdictions across BC, Ontario, and Alberta suggest that domestic supply is more than sufficient to supply the domestic market. So we got some extra for our buddies down the south there. The public health aid, every 5 of the 8,000 overdoses of 23 involved fentanyl. The fentanyl threat in Canada has definitely shifted from one of importation to one of domestic production, crime unit told CBC News. Yeah, and I wonder how much the organized crime unit is itself complicit with this domestic production. Okay, considering that COINTELPRO kind of stuff, everyone knows that the CIA was behind the crack epidemic in the 80s, right? I fully suspect, I have no proof, but I'd be highly surprised that the intelligence agencies aren't completely involved with all this. But Cook said that
Which
shift
which
began
shows?
roughly in 2019.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say which shows
Sure.
white America that they don't give a shit about you either. We were just the easy target at that time. Then you became the easy target.
Yeah, if they run out of a customer base, they don't have any problem just addicting a bunch of stupid white people, right? That's where most of the fentanyl addicts that I've seen around here are white people.
I wouldn't call them stupid. I call them economically depressed. That's the same thing that happened with the crack epidemic. It was economically depressed people that were vulnerable.
I feel like at this point, once we've seen how devastating it is, people would be, even if you're very desperate and vulnerable, you'd have to be kind of insane. You have to be kind of insane to try that stuff. There was a time when it's kind of new. For the first few decades of the invention of the drug, people don't understand how bad it is. But now the statistics are clear. Like it was saying at the top of the report, 4 out of 5 are fentanyl overdose. So people used to overdose from like meth, crack, heroin, but everyone is dying like 9 times out of 10 from fentanyl instead. It's like an order of magnitude worse.
But aren't they like, isn't it because, it's like this progression from opioids, which none of them went to jail. In fact, they're profiting off of Narcan to this day, that family, that company. But that progression between opioids to heroin, then to fentanyl.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a drug.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big druggy like it. I don't understand the chemistry side stuff, but I will say it's a good way to point out, since you bring up the corporate side of the drug war, that they will legalize a drug that should never have been legalized so they can make a killing by killing people. And then on the other side of the world, you got the whole mess of Afghanistan. That's a huge example, an indictment of the American involvement in the American empire, imperial machines involvement in the drug war on the side of drugs, not against it, right? Like opium production was higher than ever when the U.S. was there, and it went down when the Taliban took over because the U.S. wanted a third world country for their domestic drug production, wherever to pump, and not just domestic, but all around the world. They just wanted to control the drug trade, the illegal drug trade that they're supposed to be combating along with their terrorism, or everything that they say is a lie. So, and then like I was telling you, I was researching a paper in Myanmar too. Like when the poppy production gets eliminated in one part of the world, it will spread to somewhere else. So lately, Myanmar has been one of those places where poppy production has been very high, especially because a country neighboring next door like China has been extremely successful in eradicating their drug addiction problem. And then so it doesn't come from communist China because they care about their people, right? And they eliminate threats to their populace. They don't prey on their own people. But then the other neighboring countries aren't the same, and the U.S. needs their victims. So guess what happens?
Yeah, it's no surprise that once we went to Afghanistan, the heroin epidemic exploded here. Like, duh. So should I get to the tariffs then? Because this is
Yeah, we're hour 19 in.
Well, how do I lay this out? First of all, I'm gonna play Jimmy Dore first because this really pissed me the fuck off because he is purposely acting like he don't know what's going on because he's trying to give Trump a pass. I don't like that. If Trump is doing something good, we could talk about that. If he's doing something bad, we could talk about that. As with the Democratic president, any of them. But I don't think he's doing that right here.
I already had problems with people like protecting Trump during the election and stuff, saying he's not going to be that bad, or whatever. That was bad enough. But now that Trump is in office, doing things that is recorded historically now, we don't need to be beating around the bush about what he might do. We see what he is doing. And now if you're going to be blind to that, then you're not really trustworthy.
For real. Thank you, Rondo, for your commentary. I never officially say hi to Tim MC or Mastermind. It's so good to see you here. Okay, so let me play this. We can get with this, so we can get with that. All right. So this is about the tariffs, right? Maybe I should set it up a little bit. So Trump said he had threatened to put tariffs on Canada and Mexico, correct? Unless they did certain things. And I'm just thinking, as any of us well-thinking people should, this is a ruse. Like, first of all, tariffs are a bad idea, especially on your bordering, like the countries you get most stuff from. And we'll see that with China, because he actually did put tariffs on China, which is not going to end well for him. I don't think so. But I think it's all a front to fake a win that he doesn't even deserve. So let's just kind of see how Jimmy Dore acts like he thinks Trump did such a great thing. And then we'll look at the data and see if Trump really did nothing at all. And I'll let you decide. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with you because I feel suspicious that all of a sudden the Canadian ruling class is really up against the American ruling class. Like, we're a really independent country. They've always been in lockstep with each other. Why now would it be any different? Right? They probably have come up with a backdoor scheme to play the public with some story. So here we go.
Pretty much is what it is. By the way, hi, Old Man Barker. Old Man Barker's here. And Trump said he wanted to make Canada a 51st state. Like, he just says stupid stuff just to throw you off and make you angry. But folks, just laugh at it. Don't take him seriously. Don't let him disturb your peace, because that's what they want to happen. Like, you can't make Puerto Rico a 51st state. Guam, like the countries we already have territory over. What about DC? Taxation with no representation? No, we're going to take Greenland and Canada. Man, shut the hell up. Okay, anyway.
Hawaii want to be free, whatever. We're trying to add countries.
Right.
States want to be free, right?
Exactly. Hawaii doesn't even want to be a part of us. Let them go. Like,
I saw something about California wanting to break away or whatever. People talk like Texas want to break away, like Alberta wants to break from Canada. So nobody wants to be together. What are you trying to force it?
Right. Okay, so I'm going to play this, and then we'll see. All right. This is Jimmy Dore playing to his base, which is now just Trump, 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 Trump. He's not even hiding it anymore, for the most part.
Trump's tariffs are crazy. It's gonna. Oh, I'm sorry. It worked again. It worked again, like that.
Why was it that easy?
What, was it always this easy? So he got Colombia to cave like that, and now he got Mexico to cave. Breaking: President Trump says tariffs on goods from Mexico are paused for a month. Why? Because Mexico's president said it will put 10,000 troops at the border. And this is going to now forever be known as an American standoff.
It will now be called an American standoff.
Oh, he has such a punchable face.
Here's what Trump tweeted this out. I just spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico.
Okay.
It was a very...
okay. I just want to point out... Oh, let me let him keep going. Okay, let me let him keep going.
Friendly conversation where she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separating Mexico and the United States. And I wonder how many of them are going to jump over the border. These soldiers will be specifically designated to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our country. So they're going to be specifically 10,000 new Mexican soldiers to stop fentanyl and immigrants. We further...
Clearly, Mexicans aren't the people mostly coming over. I know they make it like it's Mexicans, which is insane and just stupid and racist, but Mexico doesn't want illegals in their country either. So this is all about fentanyl. This is what I don't understand, and I don't know if it is in this, but what is the deal? Is Canada allowing fentanyl? Because these tariffs... He keeps bringing up fentanyl, and that's aside from the illegals coming in. Who is Canada allowing that, and Mexico were allowing fentanyl, or no?
So yes, the answer is yes, Kurt. We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs. Kurt, I think it's our own the blob is allowing fentanyl. Yes.
Who runs the cartels?
That's right. Who runs those cartels? You think
who taught those awful Zetas that are now broken up in a million?
That's right.
TV's SEAL Team 6. Can't say it enough.
We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for a 1-month period during which we...
Sorry, go ahead.
They're just taking away all agency from criminals whatsoever, as if anything that they ever do can never be actually successfully achieved through independent action. The fentanyl can only be allowed by some kind of government, whatever, superstructure. People can't get away with crime is what they're trying to say. It's like conspiratorial racism, I guess. But.
Yeah, a lot of people saying Jimmy is wrong on this one. There's 4 more minutes. Do you want to watch the entire thing? And then we can kind of, okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Oh, Kurt just Mastermind. Look, Mastermind, if you want to jump him, I'm down.
He took a dig at the Mexican soldiers too, as if the Mexican soldiers are so undisciplined that they would or the border patrol that they're going to become illegals themselves. Yeah.
Yep.
We will have negotiations headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Secretary of State, by the way, I did my Marco Rubio joke last night in Burbank. Turns out nobody knows who Marco Rubio is. Secretary Treasury Scott Bessent and high-level representative of Mexico. I look forward to participating in those negotiations with President Sheinbaum as we attempt to achieve a deal between our two countries. That's what Trump's all about. He's about the deal. So yes, so Mexican people who are deeply rooted in their traditions, and that's why they look to their leader, Claudia Sheinbaum.
What are they laughing
For
at?
answers.
Isn't she she's Jewish too?
Yeah.
And when push came to shove, her answer was okie dokie, whatever you say.
So, we gotta keep our eye on her. Thank you. Do you want to say bye to everybody on the mic? Black like her head hurts and she's sleepy, so she's no longer gonna admin for us. So it's just me and you, Michael.
I was glad to see y'all. I mean, hear from y'all and stuff.
Can you hear her? She said she was glad to see everyone and to hear from you, and she appreciates you.
Thank you. Appreciate you too.
Oh, and she's sorry she's so tired.
No worries. Go rest. Take it easy.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So here we go again. Wait, fuck you, white stop. I don't know what Sean is talking about. What happened, Sean?
You're trying to say something, but this is a YouTube. It makes it so that we're not allowed to be ourselves, right? We have to come up with some kind of, like we were saying at the beginning, you have to use words we don't even want to use to convey what we're trying to say. So find a way.
Yep, Tim MC. Yep. We all have handlers. And it shows. Okay, so let me finish. And then I'll show you why this is ridiculous what he's saying.
That was her answer. Okie dokie. The U.S. Mexican leaders announced the pause after what Trump. Mexico. Well, we just said all that. The United States commits to work with stop the trafficking of high-powered weapons to Mexico, so that they're going to do that. Isn't that nice? This is what Scheinbaum posted. She posted, Mexico will reinforce the northern border with 10,000 members of the National Guard immediately to stop drug trafficking from Mexico to the United States, in particular fentanyl. The United States, in return, commits to work to stop the trafficking of high-powered weapons to Mexico. So that's
you know what?
That's their deal.
That means Trump and her know that it's the CIA. That's why all these people have lost their security clearance. And so for the public, they're going to go, oh, hey, we're going to do this. We had a very friendly conversation. We all know who the cartel was. It was the goddamn CIA the whole time.
Well, that's true.
So Trump's tariffs against Canada and China were still slated to go into effect Tuesday, but uncertainty remained about the durability of any deals and whether.
Say again.
So we don't need to deny everything that they say because they actually are getting it right a few times. But then I don't know.
I'm not going to just say that Jimmy Dore doesn't say correct things because he does, but I know he's smart enough to not get certain things wrong, and he's doing it on purpose because, like everybody keeps saying, he's audience captured. Like he made a decision to abandon the leftists in his audience to, for the Trump supporters.
Well, a lot of people have. There's a big swing. I think there's a lot of people who like to consider themselves anti-imperialists and whatnot. They start to deny like socialism as a possibility, and then they start to deny the LGBT, like the rhetoric around queer people. They start to see it as problematic, and then it's like a couple slippery slopes that they start to engage in. They start to deny the possibility of reparations, and come on, none of this is real, right? And then all of a sudden
he's been denying reparations. You know what he did accept though?
Right.
Oh, these DEI hires, like you get a job without meeting the qualifications just because you're Black or Indian or a woman. That doesn't happen. You still have to qualify for the position. It's just making sure that it's diverse enough where there's more people in the room with ideas that isn't lily white. That's it.
Yeah.
Lily white heterosexual male. That's it.
And on that Colonial Outcast show that we were showing earlier, they went into DEI on that too, right? So I'm kind of like some of what they're saying is fresh in my mind, right? And so they're saying how like this meritocracy that the white people talk about is bullshit, right? It's more like nepotism, right? It's meritocracy for white people. And whenever they get all upset about the DEI and stuff, it's like they just don't even they don't even buy their own bullshit,
and
right?
Meanwhile, Laura Trump is like the head of the RNC. Like, girl, please. Okay, so should I finish or?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, 2 more minutes. No, a minute.
Remained about the durability of any deals and whether the tariffs were a harbinger of a broader trade war. As Trump has promised, there's more import taxes to come.
Oh, okay.
Hey, free speech is under attack. But Rumble
wait, hold on. We gotta buy this now. This is important. We gotta.
Well, it's just so embarrassing. Like he's already got plenty of money. I don't understand why people feel the need. He doesn't have kids, from what I recognize. So
you could literally sell your house and move to Ohio and live off your money. If that's like, we could do that.
That's about it.
Not telling them what to do, but whatever. Okay, so I really didn't set this up properly, and so I apologize for it. But let me just kind of try to set it up for you. Jimmy Dore is saying that his tariffs are working, right? Trump went on some not press release, but like in front of the podium, and he's like talking about how these tariffs this trade deals are so bad. He doesn't know how they got set up, and he has to undo all of it because this makes no sense. But people don't remember that he got away from NAFTA and made his own trade deal with Canada and Mexico. So he's basically lying.
But this is
So
what we're
we'll
saying.
start with that.
It's just like a ruse because it I think that they planned this to give these MAGA folks some ammunition to claim that what he's done has been successful. Like, because they managed to flip Panama already, whatever, and convince them that they have to give up on this Belt and Road Initiative deal they have with China. I'm not sure how that's going to play out in the next couple of weeks, but it looks like they've already rolled over for them. And then China, or not China. China's the one that's not. They've levied. We haven't even get into that. They I think they did a 15% tariff to initiate the trade war, right? But then Mexico and Canada were already making moves before the tariffs were announced to appease him, and so it looks like they gave him an easy political win. So
Okay.
exactly
Well,
what you expect
I'm
from
glad
Biden.
I'm glad you're saying that, because that's basically what I'm trying to set up here. That all of this is fake. They're just circling and jerking each other to give him an easy political win to stay on his good graces. And he really did nothing. He did nothing.
Yeah.
But
And this
his group is going to act like he did all kind of stuff.
Yeah, like this is when you look at the statistics of this stuff, like all of this heavy-handed approach to immigration and drug trafficking that can only have temporary effects unless you address the systemic root causes. You're not actually going to have any meaningful long-term effect on the numbers. It will just show something nice for the graph you need for this year. So.
So I'm about to play this. I was trying to find something. Cobra had mentioned that we need to be reading his jokes in the Cobra voice. And so I just want to let you know, Cobra, I think Black Life should do that because she kind of has a deep voice. I think that her voice will be a voice of a Cobra. So we gotta hook that up for you.
We gotta set up a soundboard like INN.
Well, we will need some moolah, baby.
Reef and Indy there.
All right. So here we go with this.
President Trump, who's closer to fulfilling a major campaign promise, he teamed up with
This is
leaders of Canada and
2018, by the
Mexico
way.
to sign a revised North American trade deal. But the president still needs lawmakers to approve the plan. White House correspondent Mark Irons reports. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Wyatt. President Trump is boasting about this replacement to NAFTA, falsely calling it the largest trade deal in history. He held a signing ceremony in Argentina today where he's participating in the G20 summit. Now, the path to finalizing the deal isn't clear, and today the Canadian Prime Minister is sharing his concerns.
NAFTA, no more. North American leaders sign a new trade pact, the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement.
The USMCA is the largest, most significant modern and balanced trade agreement in history.
President Trump promising great benefits for all three countries, calling it an amazing deal for U.S. farmers and predicting auto jobs sent overseas will be coming back.
This is an agreement that, first and foremost, benefits working people.
On his last day in office, outgoing Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto says the agreement improves the rights of workers.
Reaching a new free trade agreement with the United States and Mexico is a major step for our economy.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau added measured praise, minus his call for President Trump to stop taxing U.S. imports from Mexico and Canada.
And Donald, it's all the more reason why we need to keep working to remove the tariffs on steel and aluminum between our countries.
Hurdles remain after today's ceremonial signing. Lawmakers in all three countries must approve the new trade deal.
I don't expect to have very much of a problem.
But an optimistic President Trump will be dealing with a divided U.S. Congress. And Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer says in order to get the needed support, the USMCA trade deal must prove to be a net benefit to middle-class families and working people in our country, and must have strong labor and environmental protections, which in the present deal are too weak.
Another trade deal remains in question. Today, President Trump said he thinks the U.S. would like to reach a new agreement with China. President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping will have dinner tomorrow night. We'll see if they can smooth over the current dispute over tariffs between their two countries. Wyatt?
White House correspondent Mark Irons reporting. Thanks, Mark.
Anyone else feel like it's Groundhog Day?
5 words
Real?
you pronounced wrong. 2 years.
I keep going off camera because I'm smoking a cigarette and I don't want to.
That's okay.
I don't want to do that.
I'm getting ready to have another one myself
I don't
here.
want to do that on camera.
hold it out.
So, before I move on to like what actually really happened before he took office, let me just say that Sean says, how much do you think Hillary would pay for a video of Trump getting kicked in the balls? How much do you think we would pay a GoFundMe to see that happen? And I want to see his ear scar.
I wouldn't pay for that kind of stuff, but I would be very happy to see it. Right? Yeah, I don't.
I got $1.
Yeah,
I got $1.
Yeah, sure. If it were $1.
I got $1.
I just hate how everything is like paywalled. Like I go out of my way to avoid things that I am not. Like most people would just pay for stuff to watch it, but I'm I guess like a free. I think it's called freeganism.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like free stuff. That's what I go for.
I meant when we were playing that Josh, I think his name is Josh Johnson. I meant to speed it up and be like fair use. So I hope we don't get dinged for that.
That's okay. We can cut it out if we need to.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, fair use is dead. So who cares?
Fair use is dead. So I mean, I could argue it if something happens. Okay, so you see this, right? December 17th, 2024.
Yeah, you want to make it a bit bigger though?
Oh, sure. Let's see. Okay, December 17th, 2024, Government of Canada announces its plan to strengthen border security in our immigration system. They're already doing this stuff. Okay, They're already putting troops at the border. They're already. I wasn't gonna spend time like reading all of it, but you could. It's Canada.ca.
I read
it's an official Canadian website, and you can read it. Like all the stuff he claimed his tariffs that he put on hold would do were already in place before he took office. So there's that, and then.
Well, what I would say just briefly on this is the vibe that I got when I was reading it reminded me of what Snow Himbo's theories have been about a lot of some like with these plane crashes that happen and stuff lately. There's been this kind of big push, like this great reset kind of thing about to try and get people onto digital IDs and stuff like that. So they had these ways to increase the to make the technological changes on the border that they've been trying to implement, and it seems like this is the kind of stuff. Well, we have to. We don't have no choice, right? So now all the public has to go with it. So it's the mission creep of the digital ID system. So,
and I apologize for not reading it just because of the sake of time.
But they're adding like drones, all kinds of other high tech stuff that I don't like.
Troops and all kind of stuff.
Harder to describe briefly because like drones is a simple word to throw out there, but they're doing more like computer stuff that they're adding to like modernize the way that the surveillance works and stuff. Like they're doing all out fascism, whatever, shoring up the police state, right? So.
Yep. And then look, this is from April 2024. Mexican border update. Mexico blocks migration, U.S. legislation, migrant removals, nationalities. Like they were already doing this stuff. Is this the one? Oh, so this shows you
this
the graphs of migrant comprehensions were up in 2024. It has nothing to do with him, but he's taking credit for it.
Yeah, if you had read that little blurb, the paragraph above that, it sort of describes. Just to mention to the audience,
this right here.
You don't have to necessarily read it, but I'm just saying that paragraph mentions how the Mexican government's already taken steps in the last few years to stop issuing visitor cards to the migrants that come into Mexico.
Right.
And at the same time, they've been arresting a lot more people, detaining them, instead of just letting them go through to the border like everyone's been claiming has been happening.
I'm just going to read it because it's just one paragraph, and it's probably hard to see, I think, and I've already made it big. So the Mexican government reported encountering or apprehending 240,000 migrants during the first 2 months of 2024, a number of more than
You're sounding a bit underwater there. Sorry.
Okay, let me bring it closer. Is this better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So the Mexican government reported encountering or apprehending 240,000 migrants during the first 2 months of 2024, a number more than 20% greater than its previous monthly pace. Mexico's issuance of humanitarian visitor cards, which have allowed migrants to travel across the country, has declined from an average of 13,294 per month during the first 9 months of 2023 to 213 per month between November and February, a 98% drop. Okay.
Yeah, your voice still sounds kind of underwater. I don't know what happened there. As soon as we try and get into the receipts, they don't want to hear them. It seems suspicious. We don't have any indicator that we're having bad connection issues either. So
Right, that does sound suspicious.
and now you sound fine. Here we go.
And now I sound fine. Well, let's look at this one then. So this is October 22nd, 2024. So even later than the first article about the migration steps that Mexico is taking at the border. One, crackdown temporarily lowered numbers. So their apprehension rates are way, like their I should say their port of entry encounters are way less than the apprehension rates, which is going down from 2023 from that other article. Okay. So then there are a lot of graphs, and let me see which one. So there was a rise in 2022, 23, 2024. They really cracked down. This is kind of showing where the migration people are coming from. But still, it's way lower in 2024 than 22 and 23. And 23 is when they started cracking down because they saw the rise in 2022. So he's taking credit for stuff that he never did.
Yeah, just like he was blaming. They're sending their criminals and people from prison or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely untrue. He's taking credit for what those other countries had done or whatever, which was effectively reduce their crime rates. And what was giving him any kind of truth to the idiots who were believing him was the idea that the crime rates were dropping in these other countries. And he's saying because they're not committing crime over there, because they're coming over here to do crime or whatever. So he tries to steal people's thunder all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly. So this is something. It is from the if you want to look this up yourself.
in this article somewhere. I couldn't quite find it. Should have highlighted it, whatever. But I'm pretty sure they mentioned in this article that also one of the interesting fun facts or potential things that's happening here is that the Sinaloa cartel themselves seem to have stopped sending the fentanyl across the border already of their own volition, or they decided to exit the trade or whatever, because I guess maybe it had something to do with the arrest of the Guzman, the high-ranking mobster guy. You know who I'm talking about? Well, what's his name? I'm gonna have to find it now, or whatever.
Where?
They arrested that notorious Guzman cartel leader, and then since that, they have. It seems like the Sinaloa has changed some tactics, wherever, with the change in leadership. So that would be Trump claiming that his tariffs or whatever were effective at stopping the fentanyl from coming across the border, when the Sinaloa cartel themselves chose to stop it. And then you keep in mind what Jimmy Dore and Kurt Metzger were saying, is that the CIA was the cartels the whole time. So they engineer a political situation that gives Trump an easy victory. And then behind the scenes, they have the CIA stop the flow of drugs momentarily to make Trump look good. And then while Trump is in the process of going after the CIA or clearing out the deep state, installing his own new cronies or whatever.
His own deep state.
So many narratives, psyops on top of psyops and stuff. It's hard to figure out what the hell you're talking about.
It's like, let me drain the swamp so I can put my own swamp in. Is basically what it is.
Yeah.
Let me set up my people. So this next one, there is a video, but I was just gonna read
El
this.
Chapo. Sorry, I think that's these guys.
El Chapo.
Yeah, they arrested him, right? So, and then if
And
someone
paraded him around and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So here's the next one. So he stopped the tariffs between U.S. and Mexico because it looked like a really good win for him, but he really didn't, as you've seen, he didn't really, that had nothing to do with him. He's just a very good marketer, a very good PR person, and he's taking credit for something he did not do. But meanwhile, this is February 4th, 2025.
I'm just gonna go get a cigarette. You go ahead with the article.
Okay. China will, okay, so I think he imposed like 10% tariffs on China, which is very interesting to me considering how much money we owe China and how many goods we get from China. But it says China will impose tariffs of 15% on imports of coal and liquefied natural gas, which he probably doesn't care because they're trying to take over Gaza. I mean, they kind of just have. And Gaza is sitting on a ton of oil. So anyway, I'll start over. China will impose tariffs of 15% on imports of coal and liquefied natural gas from the United States in retaliation for Washington's 10% levies on Chinese goods. China's Ministry of Finance also announced on Tuesday that there would be a 10% tariff on imports from the U.S. of crude oil, agricultural machinery, large displacement vehicles, and pickup trucks. Maybe Elon wants to sell more of his little Nazi cars. I don't know. The new measures were in response to the unilateral traffic hike by the U.S., it said, adding that Washington's decision seriously violates World Trade Organization rules, does nothing to resolve its own problems, and disrupts normal economic and trade cooperation between China and the United States. So I just found that super interesting. This is my mother, so I have to answer this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hello. You okay?
So it's going to be a little while, I think, before we kind of get a good picture of like the fallout with the tariffs, the consequences of China's tariffs on the U.S. I can't quite understand. I got to do some research on that, but it's going to be big. It's just going to be we're going to see in the coming months how bad it is.
Yeah. So we hadn't really gotten to Israel that much, but I made a comment, and Mastermind is making a very good point. Now, because Trump is like, yeah, I thought it was supposed to be America first, but apparently it's Israel first, because now he wants to like displace all of the Palestinians and rebuild all of Gaza for their own self-interest. And this is a very good point from Mastermind about that canal. Like they're trying to bypass the Suez Canal. Remember we covered that, Michael?
Yeah.
And create their own canal as a competition from the Suez Canal, and to continue to build greater Israel. It was so interesting. Let me see if I can demonstrate this. Trump said, okay, here's a pen. Trump said, imagine, the White House desk is huge, right? He goes, this desk is the Middle East. And he said, Israel's too small. We need to fix that. This desk is the Middle East. This pen, see the top of the pen? That's Israel. We need to fix that. So he's basically with the Greater Israel program. So I thought your people wanted America first, but really, I think that's kind of really what they want, the evangelicals and stuff, because they want to bring on the rapture and all this dumb shit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do about that?
How do you put America first while continuing to put Israel first, as far as anyone can see, based on the things that they say and do, and then like Rondo's saying, they're passing the cost down on the consumers, right? To the as far as the tariffs. So it's just a trade war against the working class. So you're not making it's not America first when you're doing a class war against Americans, against your own MAGA base. Okay. Yeah. Then
I also find somebody triggered me to say this, but where was I? Where was I in the comments to get triggered to say this?
Last Crusade. Yeah, I changed the comment. That's what you had called up. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's fully signing on and endorsing Greater Israel, combined his comments about like leveling Gaza, and that just eradicates any chance that the ceasefire can evolve into something real. So those people pretending like Trump has brought peace to that conflict, the war is over. It's definitely not. The things that they're doing is designed to force Hamas to respond to provocations, and they're trying to push these people into the Palestinians into the Sinai and into Jordan, and this is causing Jordan and Egypt to reiterate threats of war against Israel. So I just, for that, I'm just a little cynically saying, after everything that happened, now, right, when you could have stood with the Palestinians to begin with, but there's all this 5D chess going on. After Syria collapsed, you couldn't have fought with Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, Jordan against Israel. But that would have been World War III. I get it. But they stood by and they let people get slaughtered. So
yeah, and this isn't what I wanted to say. I completely lost that. But I will say this: the amount of people on social media blaming people who wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris and saying, this is what you asked for. Like how, like the cognitive dissonance, all of this genocide happened under her watch.
Yeah.
You think she's going to do something different? Her Jewish husband went on camera, and said, Kamala stands with Israel, and like was basically saying, yeah, we not wavering on none of that. And they're like, well, they could have got a ceasefire, as if they wanted to. Do you not think that if Kamala Harris would be president right now, she would be parroting the same stuff that Trump is saying? That it's demolished. They can't come back because it's too dangerous. We got to get them out of here and rebuild. How about you rebuild East Palestine, Ohio? How about you rebuild Maui? How about you rebuild California, New Jersey? I could Flint, Michigan. The list goes on and on and on. They ain't got time for that. But what they can do, East Palestine, Ohio.
Yeah.
There's a city called East Palestine, Ohio, where a train derailed and all the chemicals that went up in the air, and it was putting all the citizens in danger and stuff. They had to evacuate and all that.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with that, But nobody's trying to be concerned about rebuilding those places for the citizens that want to stay and live in their homes. They're like, you can get out now, so we could take this over and do the same stuff they want to do with Gaza. Take it over and build and gentrify it. Y'all can get out. Bye. Poor people be gone. And that's not America first. That is imperialism first. And he's just carrying on the same stuff, but under the guise of wanting to, derail the establishment. He is the establishment. And so is Kamala Harris. So is Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Like, who are we fooling?
This is what's so upsetting about those ACT guys, not to be bringing it back, giving them any unnecessary attention kind of thing. But Jackson Hinkle and these people, they keep trying to rehabilitate him based in spite of what he's said, supporting Trump and whatnot. It's like, you can't pretend like there's any kind of anti-establishment character, any populist nature to this person. It's all fake, right? Like the whole MAGA thing, there's nothing revolutionary. There's no communism to the MAGA movement, right? There's no potential there. It's more similar to the what happened in like Italy and Germany and stuff with the national rejuvenation movement, right? Like Volkish kind of politics.
Here's the moment when we ask you to like, subscribe, and share.
Thank you.
Which we always forget to do. But I just saw it, so I said maybe we should say it. Like, subscribe, and share, comrades.
I didn't come up with any snarky bars on the bottom this time. So.
Yeah. So we're already 2 hours in. I did have some stuff about independent media. Maybe I should save it for next time because it is hilarious to me that the person who is bringing forth this information is none other than Rachel Maddow. Like, girl, bye.
Yeah, kind of
girl.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to it next time. But in a nutshell, we can, if we can, just in case we don't, we can kind of just say how Rachel Maddow is going on this this spiel about Trump being like Stalinist and how he's gonna eradicate the independent nature of corporate media, or that we've all seen the threats to democracy clips of them all in unison, right? So they're acting like the everything's gonna be state media now. But where have you been, like, with your entire career, Rachel Maddow? Because you have been a state broadcaster, a stenographer for the American Empire.
A stenographer. Pretty much a stenographer. Yeah. So I just thought it was hilarious that she would say that, and then I have some other clips, but I could save it for next time.
But it's these people like the ACP that give a tiny bit of credibility to, because they're trying to make some. I don't think they've ever made any direct analogies between Trump and as a Stalin, like a Stalin-esque figure. But if they, like, it was maybe, like I was saying before, or whatever, to be a little bit neutral during the election was fine. But then if you're going to still try and praise some of the things that Trump, you're going to cherry pick what he does and say that that's for the people, that's revolutionary for America or whatever, it just makes you sound like an op. So.
Speaking of, yep. So I do have like 2 videos to leave on, which is shout out to South Africa, the leader. I have his name now, Julius Malema. I forget his name, Julius Malema. And he's singing "Kill the Boers." Shout out to Rondo. And then he explains why he will always sing it and fuck you.
Well, I feel like with South Africa, they've been soft on private property, right? There's situation that happened with Zimbabwe where they did kick out the white farmers, and it apparently was terrible for their economy. That's like the excuse. The racist excuse would be that they needed the white experts or whatever because they didn't know how to do it on their own. I feel like it's got a lot more to do with if you kick them out, you get trade war launched against you by the white supremacist America there. So if they're going to be threatening South Africa with pulling funding and whatnot, wherever South Africa could kind of show a little bit more teeth, and their law is not actually trying to evict the white people from their private property, but if they had a little bit more of a socialist policy there, they should be expropriating that territory, quite frankly, from my perspective. But it would be a dicey, it would be an escalatory move. So
Right. So, full disclaimer. Oh, I'm gonna play these, and I explained that they meant they don't mean this against all white people. They mean it against the system that is holding us down. And they're not just holding down black people. They holding down a lot of white people too.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to jump on board.
Yeah. Because
they're not talking about all of white humanity. They're talking about the ones, and some black, some Indian. We're talking about the establishment. Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, Ben Carson. Okay, Clyburn. Because you don't have to be a white face to bring forth white supremacy. You could be used as a tool for the purpose. So we throw you in there too.
There are plenty.
You don't give a damn.
Plenty of examples, like
baby.
Right. So
Yep.
Anyway. That includes those ones supporting the Democratic Party who like to play the other nice face, right? So
shoot, almost the whole Black Caucus. Clayton Bigsby, Tim. That's hilarious. So did you want to show something before I did like these outro videos, or?
The only video I had was kind of just like a little funny, very unrelated, whatever, except for the thing that I put in the title is Elon Trump phones home. I just found a little side note with Steven Spielberg. Apparently, when they did the 20th anniversary for the E.T. movie, he censored the parts of the movie where federal agents, and it kind of like relates to our topic here with the migrants and the deportations and everything. So in the movie E.T., the kid is trying to help this alien evade the federal officers so that he can make his way home or whatever, which is, but the thing about the immigration is the people are home, right? But beside that, whatever. So the federal agents are chasing a child with guns, okay, in the original movie, which
That's not funny.
20 years later, he realizes that's a bad take, whatever. So he sanitizes his movie, and they put in the people's hands walkie-talkies instead of guns, and then he's getting flack for that, and then he comes out, admits that censoring ET was the wrong move. So I could share my screen, but usually my video's been a bit slow.
You could just send it to me in private chat. I'll play it.
I think I sent it to you earlier, so if you want to scroll up, it should be the second link, cinemablend.com.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's just a short, like 30-second clip, so and then we can move to what you've got. So just a little bit of comedy, but
we love comedy. We gotta laugh. I want to do like a laugh episode, because why not? So let's see. Ooh, sometimes it takes a minute, honey. There we go.
But in the meantime, if we're getting ready to be wrapping up shortly, thanks.
You know my clicker.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't forget to
Thanks
like,
for sticking with
subscribe,
us.
share, tell your friends. Thanks for sticking with us. And you want to give some shout out? Is this the video right here? It doesn't look like it's
Yeah,
loading.
I'm not sure if it's loading
Is this
there.
the video? Oh,
It
maybe
should
it's
be.
this YouTube thing right
That
here.
might be an advert or something, but it
It's
should be a
probably
YouTube
this,
video.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is that there?
So
Yeah.
while I'm doing that, do you want to give shout outs? Shout out to Political Matrix. Shout out to
Yeah.
what is it called? Red wine.
Blue Moon Red Wine.
Oh, can't do it.
At Blue Moon Red Wine. Yeah, that's a good
Blue
show
Moon
I've been
Red
watching.
Wine.
She had a really funny
You see
clip on
that?
her.
It's not.
Oh, it's not working. Okay, maybe if I share my screen, maybe
Yeah,
I
it's
can.
not working.
But here. Sorry, bear with us, guys. This should just take a moment here. Sometimes with the being across the border, some things are blocked on my end. Like Abby sends me
Available to
some
you
links.
that aren't.
Yeah. So it looks like I can play it
Oh
on my end.
Lord.
You can't play it on yours.
We already had one comedian in the house. Now we have another one. Bad Cookies is in the house. Look, as if Mastermind wasn't enough, now we got Bad Cookies and Cobra. Okay, here we go.
Oh, that's got to go blurry, eh?
Oh, shit.
Just showing you. Guy's got a shotgun. And on the other side, he's holding a walkie-talkie. It seems like a small thing, whatever, subtle change, right? But they just sanitized. They made the cops seem a lot nicer than they actually are, right? Not deadly, of course. Not willing to kill children, but it's a lie because that's what they are. So.
So they definitely willing to kill children.
And it's
That's
a good
not a
example of
problem.
all those movies that we watched when we were kids that seemed harmless and innocent, right? There are some subtle racist things embedded in them and stuff like that, or revealing things at least, right? So.
Mastermind, I always heard it as stupid is as stupid does. But that works too. Because if you're stupid, trouble will find you. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, that makes me
should
think
I
if you don't
just,
start nothing, there won't be nothing, right? Same kind of idea. But
or as a yin yang twin said, don't start no shit, won't be no shit.
that's what I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I have 3 videos. They're all short. And it's basically showing struggle songs that have been weaponized to make it seem like people are violent when they're really not showing any violence. They're really being in solidarity with each other against oppression. And because people police the way we speak, the way we talk. It's almost like AOC was talking about how people were being violent against her by talking about her, but you have no propensity for violence. Like nobody has touched you, came after you. Like none of this is happening.
In this,
but because people use their words in anger because they are upset, that's violence.
Right. Well, in this context with the Boers, the Boers are historically like gone now. Like they're the Afrikaner white people in South Africa aren't the Boers that existed back then. And if you want to identify as a modern day Boer, that's essentially like trying to reinstigate the apartheid like worldview, right? Trying to say like be like a modern day Zionist in Israel, acting like you have had the right to do your ethnic
Now that's the violence.
Right, so that's the violence, right? So you want to identify as a Boer or whatever, then that's kind of like the fuck around, find out thing, right?
Mm-hmm. So Sean, I encourage everybody to go listen to that Crump CD from Lil Jon and the East Side Boys. Like the whole thing is like I'm gonna fuck you up. You're gonna fuck around and find out messing with me. The entire CD. It was amazing. But
It's like trying to open Pandora's box again, right? Like that stuff's been dealt with. Like, and the way that the South Africans dealt with it was like very respectful and wise. Like they tried to integrate the whites moving forward. They didn't try to eradicate them, assimilate them, which they should be given credit for, not treated like they're trying to initiate a war on white people. Like they're.
But they won't, and that's really the same reason why they're scared of black people in America having their reparations and their equality, because they feel like once we have that, we're going to do to them what they did to us. Black people ain't like that. We ain't got time for that. We ain't worried about y'all.
If we give you the chance to prove that you won't do that, you would prove that that's not what's going to happen. But we couldn't go that far because that would be too dangerous, right? Like that woman was saying about got to protect the whatever with the white privilege of the women, whatever, in the patriarchy, whatever. We gotta protect what we have. Treat people like an intruder or an outsider, or whatever, as opposed to not being paranoid about how we think about others. So.
Yep. So we should say our goodbyes, and I'm going to play 3 videos of struggle songs or struggle cadences, and I wish like white people would come up with your own struggle cadence about the economy. That would be great. Do it.
Yeah.
Come on with it.
They're out there. I'm sure that they're like revolutionary music tends to get suppressed, right? But then white people seem to struggle.
But you need a cadence. It can't be a song.
Yeah.
Or like it has to be a cadence that you can march to. Like you got to be strategic about it, so it could like gain a hashtag and blow up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So we love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us and being here. For those who came and had to go, we love you. We understand. For those of you who came later, we love that too. We understand. And keep coming back, please, because we have a lot to talk about, and we need to keep it going. Oh, thank you, Mastermind Hour. Thank you for your support. All right. What about you, Michael? You want to say something before?
I was just gonna say have a good night, Jacqueline. Have a good night, Cookies and Sean, and see you guys next time. We were gonna have the CIA informant on for an interview, but he's a little sick with malaria. He told me so. Best wishes, thoughts and prayers to him if that's what you're into, right? Hopefully he'll make a speedy recovery and we can have him on shortly and talk about what's going on with Congo and Rwanda, whatever. I did want to maybe mention another thing we can do for a show is talk about Somalia. They just recently got bombed, apparently for an ISIS figure allegedly was bombed in Somalia by the States. But it turns out that there's some peacemaking going on by Turkey with Ethiopia and Somalia, trying to bring peace to the African continent, and America doesn't want that, so they got to go bombing people, making excuses to stir the pot again. So we'll try and get into that stuff as it develops. So thank you guys for being here. Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yep. And I still have my independent media series, and I just want to laugh real quick. Bad Cookies is so goddamn bad. He's so bad. Okay, so it's going to be 3 videos, you guys. They're very short. They're not as long as the other videos. So, like, stick around and get you some struggle love.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
In Minnesota, chants from Black Lives Matter protesters are drawing disgust from police. The protesters took to the streets Saturday in St. Paul outside of the state fair, yelling, quote, "Pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon," end quote. Some believe the chant refers to putting police officers in body bags. Many police found the chant insensitive, while protesters believe it's misinterpreted.
Statements and chants like that are just ignorant. You know, I find it absolutely disgusting.
It definitely wasn't a threat. You know, I don't know if they would have received it differently if we'd have said maybe on a stick or something like that. But, you know, we're out there chanting, we're using our voices.
And the officer you heard from there added he doesn't think police care about an apology, but would like for protesters to change their rhetoric.
Did you know that Amazon...
What's up? We lose the video? You're still muted there. Nah, can't hear you. Okay.
Oh, okay. I have to stop it every time and start it over. And I didn't realize I was on the video with my cigarette. Y'all, please forgive me.
That's okay. We should just hop backstage, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Have a good night.
Hurra! Tamasa! Hurra! Kita! Kilame! Hirwata! Tamarumo! Rumo! Hasicha! Where were you when I'm sick? Where were you when I'm there? Sofa skichi! Emoye! Sofa skichi! Etati! Kichi! Kichima! Simran Konto Alliance! Shoot to kill! Kamaza! Kill the poor! The farmer! Kill the poor! The farmer! Brr, pa! Pa! Brr, pa! Pa! Attention!
There is no song, kill the Boer, kill the farmer. That's a chant. We over-explained it in court. If you have a problem with it, go to the records of the court. The court said there's nothing wrong singing kill the Boer, kill the farmer. I will sing this song as in when I feel like. It's not my song, it's a struggle song. Why must I educate Elon Musk? He looks like an illiterate. The only thing that protects him is his white skin. Elon Musk wants to learn about this song. The records are there in court. When we take over, the first thing we're going to do is to nationalize the land as the first non-negotiable cardinal pillar. SAPS has got the best men and women who can take on the Zamazamas. They must just go and take out the Zamazamas under those holes. Any Zama that tries to shoot SAPS, they must drop them dead. They must not negotiate with them. Anyone who knows the police are coming down, because police are going to announce that we are coming down, and you know that it is the police that are coming down and you still shoot, they must drop them dead. All of them, including those who are displaying firearms. Anyone who displays a firearm against the state is a declaration of war.
Real
you.